Welcome to AM. My name's Richard Conway, and this is the platform for age group multisport athletes to showcase their journeys. Welcome along to episode 29. I know, 29 already. The big 3-0 is coming up next. Can't believe it actually. I've just put a message out, as many of you have probably seen, that I'm running out of guests. Yeah, we're down to our last one. However, you guys haven't disappointed. Since I put the message out, you've been back in touch, and I've got a few more people who want to come on and share their journeys, so that's fantastic. Thank you. And don't forget, if you want to come on, just send us a message. Yeah, just send us a message and we'll put you on the list. We'll get in touch and we'll sort out a Zoom call, and it's as simple as that. And you can let everybody know your journey and your experiences, good and bad. And it'll be fab, and we can keep going and we can keep doing it. And like I said before, I can't do it without you guys. I need you. So thank you ever so much for you guys who've been in touch. I have responded to every single one of you, and I will send an email when we are nearing the time of your interviews. So fantastic. So on this episode, we've got John Wood, and John is an age grouper, and he's also the coach from Try Coaching, who you can find on Instagram. And if you don't follow him, check him out, because he's been putting some great content on over the last, over lockdown, I guess. And he's done a couple of 30-day swim tips. And they're really worthwhile. I've been watching them, and since he got in touch, because obviously, like you guys, didn't know anything about him, but I've been watching him and I've picked up quite a few hints and tips. So yeah, so we've got John on, and like I said, he's an age grouper, multi-sport, and also a masters swimmer. He's been swimming since he was 5, I think he said, 5 or 7. So quite a long time, and he's of a great standard, obviously. He swam nationally and international levels, and then he took triathlon up about 10 years ago, and he's competed in 4 European age group championships. So great story from John. And then he also goes on and tells us a little bit about his business and what he offers. So that's nice that I can give a little bit back to him and help him out. But it's really worthwhile, because he's given his time coming up with this content for us on Instagram. So yeah, it's nice to give a bit back. So that's John. What else has been going on? More races have been cancelled, I'm afraid. So Walshy, that's been cancelled, and it's rolling over to next year, and it's going to take place in Spain, Bilbao, I believe. Have I said that right? Bilbao, as in Rocky Bilbao. That's going to get rolled over for 22. I think this is just the tip of the iceberg. I think more and more races are going to get cancelled or replaced and put back to 22, because I think countries just aren't ready. There's also the race that was or is still going to take place in Romania, Targu, but depending on where they are in the traffic light system is dependent on whether actually British Tri send teams over. So I had an email through, because I'd qualified for that race. I've had an email through from them saying that I could defer my place to 2022, which is going to be also in Spain, in Bilbao. So I've took them up on the offer, because, to be fair, don't really want to travel at the moment. I think it's just not worth it, and not just because of like the risks and things, but from a competitive point of view. I mean, how many nations are going to rock up or be able to rock up? So it's not really going to be a true race, and that really hasn't been spoken about very much, to be fair. So that's my 2 penneth on it, rightly or wrongly. And then I also just heard this morning that the World Champs finals that are supposed to be taking place in Edmonton, there'll be a decision on that on the 4th of June. So that's another one that may or may not take place, depending. So keep your fingers crossed for that one, I suppose, if you're down to take part in it. And yeah. And also there was, Ironman Ireland, that was cancelled as well. Yeah. So that's a big one. So yeah, lots to think about. We're not out of this COVID yet, so it is what it is, and I think we've all got to be patient. And a big massive thank you on my behalf to British Triathlon, who are doing a fantastic job in these uncertain times. So what else have we been doing since the last episode? The usual. I've got some new swimming goggles, and I went and plumped and paid my hard-earned and bought a pair of Form swimming glasses. Now, I don't know whether you guys are familiar with these. These are the ones with the head-up display in the goggle, and they give you all the swimming metrics. Essentially, they are smart goggles, and so you can see your performance metrics, and they are pretty damn good, I've got to say. Wasn't sure, did a lot of research as I do before I plumb for these gadgets and gizmos, but they are very, very good. And not only that, they've inspired me to get into the pool more often, because I like to use them, as sad as that may sound. And they tell you everything: time split, stroke rate, pace, heart rate, distance, just everything. You don't need to look at a clock, you don't need to count your lengths. They're just a game changer, I think. It was a bit of a shock to Mrs. C. She said to me, have you been spending money on goggles? And I said, yeah. And she said, that much money on goggles? Because obviously she hadn't heard of them. She hadn't heard of Form, and she didn't know anything about them. So I didn't let on that what they actually were till they arrived. So she wasn't very best pleased with me, as you can imagine. But we went to the pool and had a swim, and she had a go, and she understood why they were the price they were. So yeah, she was a bit happier. Well, I don't think she was happy about it, but she was, she understood. So yeah, got those. They're really good. Check them out if you haven't heard of them. I'm not sponsored by them. It's not an advert or anything. It's just my own personal view. Really, really good set of kit. Good bit of kit, as we like to say on AMP. So that was my newest purchase. What else have we been doing? Back in the pool with the club as well, doing some club swims. So that's great. We've got two club swims a week again. So that's really nice to be able to swim with a group. Hopefully that'll push us on. And got to get back into open water this Sunday. Not looking forward to that. It's far too cold still, but I've got a race in 2 weeks. We're doing the Leeds qualifier in 2 weeks, and I haven't even been in open water yet. So yeah, it's not going to be pretty, is it, really? So I've got to do that this Sunday. And this last week, on my Athletica AI platform that I'm using, it's been a test week. So far I've done a MAF run, I've done an FTP test, I've done a ramp test, I've done a 400 time trial in the pool, and I've got a 5k to do tomorrow. So yeah, that'll give us an idea of how I'm getting on. The FTP wasn't pretty. Lost quite a lot of wattage But I think that's the discrepancy between the two trainers that I've been using. I've got a Tax downstairs in the garage, and I've got a Wahoo kicker upstairs in the spare room. And I find it harder on the Wahoo kicker for some reason than I do on the Tax. Not sure why. You guys might know. If you know, let me know why it is. So yeah, that's the training this week. So it's going all right. Everything's on plan. No injuries, touch wood, to speak of. We've had a couple of qualifying races recently. Last weekend saw the BTF major event at Eton Dorney, the ITU sprint qualifier, and it had a really strong field. And also on the same weekend there was the standard distance qualifier at Southport. If you want to check out those results, on Instagram, go over to the age_group_news, see what went on there. I know a couple of our guests that have been on were racing. Two good races, and well done to everybody who qualified, and well done to everybody who took part as well. So, right, on to the main event. As I said, we have John Wood from Tri Coaching. Hope you enjoy this. We've had a good old chat, and like I said, check out John on Instagram. He puts loads of posts up, hints and tips about swimming and running. Yeah, he's also a run coach. Well, he's a general triathlon coach as well. So hope you enjoy this, and we shall see you on the other side. But yeah, welcome along to Amp again. Thank you for coming on and doing this.
That's all right. It's a pleasure.
Yeah. So you're not working today?
I've done a quick work this morning, and I'm writing plans and stuff. So it's a bit more admin based today.
Yeah.
So my day to day, I bounce between teaching people with swimming, coaching people with running, obviously writing training plans, and then I do a bit on running. So we've got a couple of events coming up, obviously with things opening up, and so we can be at race events, and with shops being allowed to have a few more people in them and stuff, so we can go and do the try-on events as well.
Cool. So busy.
Yeah, normally pre-COVID, absolutely. Just starting to get busier now, which is nice.
Yeah.
For swim coaching, which is great. I love being poolside.
And I guess first question that I always ask is about your childhood sporting palmares, if you like.
Well, I mean, I learned to swim when I was about 4, maybe just before I was 5. I vividly remember going to my first couple of swim lessons and kicking and screaming and refusing to get in the water. And some people will say not a lot has changed since then. Since after the first couple of sessions, I really enjoyed being in the water. And at the end of swimming lessons, they asked, "Do you want to join a local club?" Which I did, and it turned out I've got a bit of an aptitude to it. I'm physically fairly proportioned for swimming. I'm quite tall. I've got long arms. I've got very much a monkey arm index, I think they call it. So yeah, I was very good at swimming, but I wasn't very good at any other sports. I quite enjoyed them. I played a bit of football at school and enjoyed trying to run, but wasn't very good at any of them. I was fortunate to win a couple of national medals in my teenage years, and I represented GB both in the pool and open water swimming, which was obviously a massive achievement and something I'm massively proud of. And then kind of went to university and kind of fell out of love with it a little bit. I think moving away from home, change of coaching environment. I mean, I went from swimming 20 hours a week anyway. You know, I was doing a lot of training as a 15, 16, 17-year-old. So to go to uni wasn't a massive step up in that regard, but obviously a big change in environments, and so I kind of fell out of love with swimming a little bit. And obviously that led to triathlon, you know, having done a bit of running, and a couple of friends saying, "Do you fancy joining us at the local triathlon?" So
Right.
That's where I sort of dipped my toe in the water, so to speak.
So that was university, was it?
Yeah, or just after. Yeah, literally about 3 weeks after I graduated was when I did my first triathlon.
Okay. And was that a sprint?
Yeah, I did a sprint. I did 2 sprints. I did Marlborough and then I did Bath. So that was 2007.
Yeah.
And then I promptly fell off my bike and broke myself fairly seriously. Broken ribs, punctured lung, sort of thing, and wasn't allowed to do anything the rest of the summer. So yeah, I got the bug then. Absolutely got the bug.
Yeah. Did you get knocked off your bike, or was it?
No, it was really wet roads, and I went to university in Bath, and I was working at university as well. So I was teaching swimming, coaching swimming, and riding home from uni. The university's on the top of the hill, and it was absolutely throwing down rain. And I was coming down the hill, and it was a bit greasy and everything else. And where on one of the corners is a bit off camber, so I was going round to the right, but the road slipped away to the left.
Right. Yeah.
I just went down. And because I was really inexperienced, I grabbed the brakes, and I do obviously what any experienced cyclist tells you not to do, which is grab the brakes. The bike stood up and threw me over the top. So, yeah, not my proudest moment, and not great for bike confidence coming back afterwards. But we got with it.
Cool. Well, yeah. I mean, it's never nice, is it? Having an accident like that, and the recovery is always hard. And getting back on the bike psychologically as well. That's the thing, isn't it? Especially
absolutely.
If you're not like a seasoned cyclist, if it's just a new thing to you, it must have been quite hard.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was something that, once I started riding again afterwards and riding with other people, I mean, for the more seasoned cyclists, I think they could probably tell you, I think when you do something like that, you kind of realize what you should be doing and fighting those primitive survival instincts. And I mean, it's what I teach people in the water. You're having to override survival instincts, and your survival instinct on a bike is sometimes to slam on the brakes.
Mm.
And the more you cycle, used to it, the more you realize that's not going to help you.
Yeah.
You have to do that thing.
Yeah. So from doing a few triathlons, how did you get into age group then?
It was a friend of mine, after I'd done the second one, said, "Oh, you're doing quite well. You might be worth looking at the age group sort of thing." And I had no idea. I mean, this was 2007 when it was put to me. And then 2008, once I did a few races and qualified, and obviously it was absolutely new to me. And I think the age group scene, although it was big, wasn't as big as you might say it is now. And that was kind of the idea that I could qualify and race in a GB tri suit now really captured me. So 2008, I did a few sprints, did a few Olympics, and I was fortunate enough to qualify for the Europeans the following year in 2009.
Yeah, good. Yeah. It's quite a special moment, isn't it, when you get that tri-suit through the post and you get to race in it.
Yes, absolutely. There's a huge amount of pride that comes with it. And it's a really nice feeling, like you say. And it's a nice community as well. Really nice community of people.
Yeah. So after you'd done your first GB triathlon, what came next?
So 2009, I did Europeans in Holland, and then I think I can't remember whether it was either just before or just after I did my first half Ironman as well.
Yeah.
I did Wimbledon. And then the following year I did an Ironman as part of a relay, as well as doing it was 2009. I did Ironman as part of a relay, and then the following year I did the Europeans in Ireland, and I did Ironman. It was Challenge at the time, Challenge Barcelona.
Right.
And having done the Ironman as part of a relay, I did the swim with a couple of other very, very talented athletes, and just being on the course just gave such a buzz. So many people around, both Europeans and at Ironman events or Ironman distance events, that it just, the buzz to go and do it and have a go was really big.
Yeah.
really enjoy doing it. It's a long day out, but definitely, I mean, doing the Europeans and doing the Worlds and doing the age group stuff is a big buzz because of what it means. And I think that the long distance thing sort of compares because of how much of an effort it is to go and do it and do a day like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the amount of work you've got to put in and commitment you've got to do. I've never done anything past a standard or Olympic myself, but
yeah,
you know, my wife, she's done a half, and the amount of work she had to do for that is just mind blowing. Really is. So hats off to anybody who does it. You know,
absolutely.
Yeah. So what is your preferred distance then?
I prefer Olympic distance for a couple of reasons. One, the swim is a larger part of it. It's the bit that I'm best at by quite a considerable margin.
Yeah.
And because it's a bit longer comparatively, it means I can make the most of it. But I also enjoy Olympic distance because it doesn't take too much out of the day. You can race it at a lower level of fitness. I was going to say relatively unfit, but that's obviously different for different people. But yeah, at a lower level of fitness to complete it. And it means it doesn't take too much out of your body. You can be ready to train again on a Monday and potentially race again the following week if you choose to. That's why I enjoy Olympic distance.
Yeah. Good. So have you got any hints and tips that you would give, say somebody wanting to get into triathlons or somebody who wants to qualify for age group?
So for anyone who wants to do triathlon, is get advice, whether it's from friends, whether it's from club mates, whether you look online, is to get advice on how to make life easier for yourself. Obviously, that's something I do as a coach. You know, trying to help people swim easier is a large part of the game, and you then swim quicker as a result. But one of the biggest tips that I got in terms of making my biking easier after doing Barcelona was make sure you feel like you can always go 2 gears harder or you can go 2 gears bigger, because it means that you've always got something in the tank. I wish I'd had that before Barcelona. I mean, I put it to use. I did a second one in Copenhagen and it made a massive, massive difference. But yeah, getting as much advice as you can about making the events as easy as possible. Whether that's the sprint distance, whether that's an Ironman, it all adds up and it all makes a difference. As far as the age group side of things is concerned, enjoy every moment of it. The first event I did in Holland, I got all the kit because I thought, who knows if I'm ever going to do it again? I'm going to qualify again. And I've been fortunate enough to qualify for enough Europeans and Worlds, and not necessarily been able to afford to go to all of them, but who knows when you can go and do it again. So make the most of every opportunity and enjoy the camaraderie, enjoy the event, enjoy the opening ceremony. Because at the end of the day, when you go and actually race it, the race is exactly the same. It doesn't matter whether it's world triathlon champs in Auckland or Budapest, or it's your local standard distance. It's still the same distance race.
Yeah.
Just maybe a few faster people.
Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it? Well, I guess you're right. Once you get into that mindset of racing, doesn't matter where you are, you're just on the course and you're just trying to give everything that you've got, aren't you? Like you've just said, whether you're on a local triathlon or whether you're in a world champs, you know, it's
absolutely. I was going to say we're always wanting to beat ourselves, aren't we?
Yeah.
We are our biggest opponent, our biggest enemy, and if you can get past that, you know, the world's your oyster.
Yeah, spot on. So what's your favourite bit of kit?
Well, I was thinking about this. I've recently got myself a new wetsuit. I've got a Yonder, and I've had a Blue 70 before, and that's an awesome wetsuit. Obviously, it's, you know, won awards around the world, but the Ghost is probably even better than that. I'm not sponsored by them or anything like that, but it's an amazing wetsuit. It's just so flexible, and obviously I love being in the water. I absolutely love being in the water. So Anything that can keep you warm at the moment is quite nice.
Yeah.
The best bike I've ever ridden was I had a felt DA3, DA2, when I was riding for a shop team 6 or 7 years ago, and that was an absolute bullet out of a gun. And just the nicest bike to ride. I've got a TT bike that I've had for a few years now since, and it's nice, but it's not as nice as that felt was, I have to say.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it, wetsuits, because there's that many different out there. And
yes,
I upgraded I got a second-hand one off the internet when I first started, and I upgraded to a Roker.
Yeah.
And again, it made me more buoyant, and I was faster in the water. Not that I'm very fast, but I was faster in the water, and it's just amazing the different quality and different level.
Yeah, and it's an interesting one. Like, I think the step up from like the 150 pound entry level to 300, 350 is quite a big step up. From 350 up to the kind of the top level, 600. There's not much of as much of a step for sure. It's the law of diminishing returns, and a lot of it comes down to fit as well. Different brands just fit everybody differently. Somebody who's got broader shoulders might not fit a particular brand, even though everything else is great. But I do think there are certain elements with getting the flexibility in the right areas and not too much of it, because it's lovely having a flexible wetsuit, but you don't want it then filling up with water.
Yeah, absolutely. Your own personal short-term and long-term goals. What are you looking to achieve?
So I was supposed to be racing the European Masters swimming this month. So in about 2 weeks' time, I was supposed to be in Budapest, but that's been cancelled. That was rolled over from last year. And last summer, the challenge or the target was to get back into triathlon a bit more fully, if you like, and qualify for the Worlds for this year. But I haven't really done much multi-sport over the last 2 or 3 years. Obviously, so I'm not racing anything massive this year.
Yeah.
But I'd like to try and qualify for some championships for next year. It's been quite enjoyable over the last year, doing a bit more cycling, a bit more running again. Something that I've not done quite so much, where I've focused on a bit of swimming for the last 2 or 3 years. I suppose that's short to medium term, really. Get a few races under the belt, and just do them smoothly. Not necessarily smash them out of the park, like for myself or against anybody else, but just do them smoothly and enjoy it.
Cool. Yeah. And obviously we can now go on and talk a little bit about your own coaching that you do.
Yeah.
You want to give us a bit of background about your qualifications and your business, basically? And
yeah, absolutely. I've been coaching since I was 15, so I've been coaching for 20 years. Obviously, the majority of that the first part of that was all swimming. And, I'm a level 3 qualified swim coach. And I've been fortunate enough to work with some very, very talented athletes, both as swimmers and triathletes. I love seeing people improve, whether that's someone who's completely new to the sport, whether that's new to swimming or new to triathlon, or some of the very, very, very talented athletes that I've worked with. I've been fortunate to work with some very good Paralympic athletes, and some guys who are sort of trying to turn pro as long distance athletes. And essentially the tips stay kind of the same, just how you communicate it is different. Everybody needs to be in the same position. It's like you look at Mo Farah or Haile Gebrselassie or Kilnisa Bekele or whoever at the top end of running. They've all got their own idiosyncrasies when they run. Selassie's arm comes out as though he's holding his books when he used to run to school. But there's things that hold true regardless of who they are, and it's the same in the water. It's the same for everything. So that's one of the things I love about sport, is that you can take so much, and someone at the top can be thinking about exactly the same things as someone who's absolutely new to the sport, even if they're thinking about it in a different way. it's great seeing people improve, whether it's in the water, whether it's running, or the training plan that's helping them race faster and qualify for their own age group events. It's great.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that I can do that online and help people anywhere in the country and anywhere in the world. I've got a few international athletes, which is internationally based athletes, which is great.
Yeah. So as this pandemic that we've just gone through, has it affected your business?
Yeah, it's obviously everything died off. Up until very recently, I've not been able to do any one-to-one stuff. I've not been able to do swim teaching or coaching. Some people have been in the gaps. My pool that I teach out of hasn't allowed that. They haven't allowed non-members in, which is fair enough. That's their prerogative. It's a shame for me. But I've got an open air endless pool that's a private facility that I can use in Bristol, and I'm looking for more and more places that I can build into whilst things are opening up. The writing training plans, I kept probably a third of my clients, half of my clients, like last April, but half people dropped out because races were cancelled or uncertainty around money, and I completely understand that. It was a challenging time for everyone. But the great thing was that once everything stabilised, people wanted that schedule back in their life, especially on furlough. It meant that you could get up and run or you could get up and bike, but it just gave you that idea of something to go out and do and keep that structure to life. And it's something I very much believe in myself. I'm coached certainly on the strength and conditioning side of things, and I normally would swim with a club, and I do the biking and run bits around it at the moment. But having that structure written for me for the strength and conditioning was great for being at home and doing the body weight stuff or getting in the gym in the breaks between the lockdowns.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Because I've been speaking to a few coaches, and they've said it's some people, like you've just said, have knocked it on the head completely, but they found that a lot of people wanted that. Since everything was closed, they wanted that structure. Although there was no races, they still wanted something to aim for, something to get them up in the morning. So he was finding that, there was more people coming to him and saying, look, can you just do me a plan just to get through this?
Yeah, and it's been sort of working towards doing maybe something people wouldn't do. So Olympic distance athletes running a half or a full marathon, or making them quicker, trying to PB themselves over like a time trial event, and essentially that's what I was doing myself, trying to get running. And I know personally I benefit from structure. I think most people do to a certain extent, especially when everything's a bit up in the air. It just gives you something to hold on to mentally as much as physically.
What sort of things do you offer? If somebody comes online and looks at your website, what can they see? What are you offering?
So for most people coming to me, the biggest part of my business is swim teaching and coaching. And I offer normal swimming sessions, normal swimming lessons. It doesn't matter your level, whether you're someone who's scared of the water, and I've got a couple of those, or whether you're looking to just fine tune things. But I do video endless pool coaching, which it's a great tool. It's not the be all and end all. I wouldn't say it's the gold standard of teaching or coaching. I think actually that comes down to the coach and how they show you and how they communicate it. But the idea of the video is great because it means you as an athlete can see what's going on, and I think that can make a massive difference, because it doesn't matter how much somebody as a coach tells you you are doing X, Y, Z.
Yeah,
you can always go in your head, no, I'm not. And I've had that personally. I can personally vouch for that as a swimmer, having been videoed, thinking where my hands are going and all the rest of it. From the coaching point of view, I use Training Peaks because it's worldwide and everybody sees it, and it's very simple to use. I know there are a few other platforms out there which are just as usable. And I do two options really. I do like fully supported. I mean, in both cases, I'll write full sessions, so I'll write a full swim set, or I'll write a run session to follow, and bike turbos and gym sets and whatever. But I do a fully supported option where you can ping me messages. You know, we can sort out moving sessions around. We can change things up. You know, if there's illness comes in or work gets in the way, we can move things around, and we have a full-on catch-up every month. And that side of coaching I really enjoy, because it's about building a relationship. Yeah. You know, yes, I am writing you a plan, but it's got to work around you and your life and getting the best for you, because it could be the best plan in the world. It could be the most perfect plan in the world. But if you're not able to do it, or not able to follow it, or not able to understand it, it's useless.
Yeah.
So I really enjoy that relationship side of things. I do a lower package, or a less involved package, where I write the plan and write the sessions, then I'll leave you to your own devices. And some people, that's all they need, because they just want to wake up in the morning and go, right, I've got a bike to do. And that's everything sorted. And that makes absolute sense. And there's no real rhyme or reason to the different people that I'm coaching following one or the other, because you get athletes who want that assistance and want that support, and you get some very good athletes who are just very new athletes who just go, right, I just want to be told what to do, and I can do that, I can follow that, and I can look at myself, and it balances out, really.
Yeah. What you said about the video footage, though, is so true. I mean, I've had it done a couple of times, and it's just, you just can't appreciate how useful it is. It's, you know, you think you swim like one way, and actually when you get in, it's completely, well, in my case, it was horrendous, but it's it's like, I actually swim like that, you know. It's, and then because you've seen it, then you can like start being conscious. Like I had a leg that went out. It had a mind of its own. My leg had Tourette's. You know. But now I'm conscious of it. So you know what I mean. You can fix these things. So that is just such a worthwhile thing to have done.
Yeah, my story. When I was 13, I was a very strong backstroke swimmer, and over the summer, having raced really well during the summer and the year, I grew about 2 inches, and I went from putting my hand in the right place and everything staying nice and straight to my hand massively overextending across my body, in the same way that you'll see a lot of triathletes reaching across their body. Now, my coach is saying, put your hands in outside your shoulders, put your hands in a Y shape, 10 to 2, that sort of thing. And I'm saying I am. It feels like I'm going in like a T shape. And it's only when he videoed me in exactly the same way that I was like, Christ. That's what it feels like, or this is what it feels like. That's what it looks like. Yeah. This is where it can change. And I think that's the biggest bit. It's not only seeing it, but it's relating what it looks like to how it feels, or vice versa.
Yeah, definitely. So, where can people find you? I've found you on Instagram, and I'm really enjoying your videos at the moment. They're very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm on Instagram at try_coaching. That's TRI_coaching. And there's links to the website. It's try-coaching.co.uk. At the moment, as you mentioned, the 30 days since, or it's 29 days since the pool's all opened. And I've done a series of 30 videos, 30 tips to help build your stroke up. And it's the sort of things that I will do in swim lessons, swim sessions. There's a few dry land exercises, a few flexibility tips, but just to build up your stroke. And I think that's a really useful thing. You know, I want to help out as many people as possible. You know, it's nice I can make a living from coaching people. But I'm very fortunate that I've had people look at my social media over the last month from all sorts of different places and find things useful. So yeah, it's all about building up a foundation to your stroke so that actually you can then get yourself quicker. Hopefully before we build up too many bad habits.
Yeah, cool. I do find it interesting actually, because it's about giving something back, isn't it, to people?
Yeah.
And I've found doing this, I don't have no sponsorship or anything, and you know, I do it for the love of doing it. But I've found doing this, people have started to just get on board with it, and you know, I've been offered this, that, and the other, and you know, people's knowledge mainly about what you can do, and people, you know, you just, because you're giving, you seem to get stuff back without asking for it, you know. And
absolutely, I absolutely agree with that. like you, I have a couple of partnerships. I work with a couple of companies that give me a little bit of a discount. But the biggest thing is that people think you shouldn't give away stuff for free. That's how you build a community. That's how people trust you and understand that, you know, what you're giving and what you're doing is making sense and is reputable, and people can try it out. You know, as a coach, and there are plenty of coaches across the country and across the world doing, whether it's swim smooth stuff or otherwise, and in triathlon coaching or otherwise, we're all offering essentially the same thing, and we'll offer it in different ways. And it's about how you connect with a particular coach. I have my way of communicating things, and some of it's a bit idiosyncratic. And I like visual cues, and I like to give people a way of thinking about it. But how I give those cues is completely different to however many of the amazing coaches there are out there. And I love following other coaches to see how they do things, because I'm always learning as well.
Yeah, that's it. Every day's a school day, isn't it? You know, it's like, I'll listen to loads of different podcasts because I like to hear how other people are doing it. I love the content that they're putting out, obviously, but I like to hear how they're doing it, their introductions and the music and, you know, all that sort of choice. So yeah, you know, always learning.
Yes, and you know, for you, you're talking to people like me and other athletes and other coaches or whatever, and you'll learn from us as much as I'm learning from you. I'll hear you talking about things, and I'll go, "Oh, that might be useful in a session," or I can do a post about that, and share that to other people. I always find that I'm learning from the people I'm teaching and coaching as well.
Yeah, never stop learning. Well, that's great. Have you got anything else that you'd like to add?
Amongst everything, just enjoying everything. You know, none of us are paid to do any of this. I mean, unless you're a pro athlete, but there are desperately few of them. So enjoy what you're doing, because if you're not enjoying it, why the hell are you doing it? Yeah, that's the biggest thing. Enjoy what you're doing. If you've got any questions, give us a shout, because if it's a quick one-line answer, I'm more than happy to answer it. You know, if it's a bit more in depth, I might say, you know, let's pay for a call and sort it out like a little bit longer. But I'm always happy answering questions. That's what I'm here. It's to help.
Cool, brilliant. And is Instagram the best thing to drop you a question?
Instagram, and I've got Facebook. It's facebook.com/try-coaching Bristol. There's a website, try-coaching.co.uk. But they'll all lead back to me. So
good. Well, thank you ever so much for coming on.
My absolute pleasure. And if I can help with anything for you,
well, I'm like one of the world's worst swimmers, so and I've got a race coming. I basically do duathlons, but I've got do triathlons, and I've got I'm doing the Leeds standard distance in beginning of June. I think I've been back in the pool now for 2 weeks, a couple of times a week, 3 times a week, and I was in this morning. And it's just so difficult to try and get a lane where, like, for example, today I had 4 breaststrokers in, you know, so to do anything, you know, worthwhile, and I know no session's a bad session because you've got to adapt, you know, and the people in the lane were great, and, you know, I always make a point of making sure that I'm not going to piss anybody off, basically.
Of course.
And you find that they'll stop at the end of the lane and let you pass and stuff. But it's just so frustrating and so difficult to try and get that quality time. You know, but it is what it is, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I think for you, you know, where space becomes an issue, and I have to say I don't do a huge amount of public lane swimming, and that's not for anybody else's fault, but because of my background, because of the speed that I'm swimming at, I find it very challenging, because some people don't have common sense, and that's not about speed, and that's not about people's ability in the water. It's just people's awareness around them, and that annoys me. It frustrates me. So swimming in the endless pool is great, or swimming open water, but I'm looking forward to the club coming back. But for you, you know, breaking swims down into 25s and 50s, even if you have very small recoveries and you make your swims better quality, you might have the bulk of doing a volume 800 or 1,000 or 1,500 meters straight swim. But by doing 25s and 50s, you can make sure your form is better. You can make sure your speed is better, or easy speed is better. things like streamlining off the walls, they're not necessarily things you're going to do when you come and swim at Leeds or anywhere else because it's open water. But it gets your body ready to be in the right position. It means your first 3, 4, 6 strokes every length will be good ones, even if they do then fade off as the length goes on. You reset every time. So you can get better quality swims. And hopefully as the restrictions lift even further, so they're supposed to lift as of next week a little bit. That'll a bit more space in the pool. If you're members of clubs, you can swim with your adult sort of swim club friends or tri-club swimmers rather than having to try and swim with complete randoms in a public session. And again, that will give you space, it'll give you time, give you motivation, and hopefully a bit of an extra eye on what you're swimming.
Yeah, I mean, I am in a club, but obviously club sessions aren't available yet. We are trying to sort those out, and it's just been too bloody cold to go in open water, if I'm honest. You can't do too. It's just, it's not enjoyable, so I haven't done it, and I know I need to get back in soon. So I will be back in the next week or so, even though the temperatures are still not favourable. But it is like, we've got to do it because June's looming, and it is what it is, I'm afraid. I think, but everybody's in the same boat, aren't they? So
I mean, I've had a message from one of my age group athletes today, just saying, I'm not stressing about swim. Obviously, there's a qualifier at Eton this weekend coming, and he said, I'm not going to be pushing the swim too hard because I've not obviously done enough. It's been 3-4 weeks. I said, well, everyone's in the same boat. Some people might have done a couple of K here or there open water, and that's great. But for the most part, people have been in the water 4 weeks. You're all the same. We are. Yes, you do the Royal. We're all the same. So concentrate on what you can do, and because you can't affect anybody else.
Yeah, that's it. It is what it is. So anyway, I'm going to let you go. Thank you ever so much.
No worries, sir. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure talking. Like I said, if we want to do anything swim specific, I'm more than happy to chat.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, thanks ever so much. Nice to see you and speak to you. And
likewise.
We'll catch up soon. All right.
Yeah, and congratulations on how the podcast has gone so far.
Yeah. Cheers. Thanks a lot. See ya.
Take it easy.
Bye. Thank you once again, John, for coming on and sharing your journey, and also giving us a bit of knowledge and a few hints and tips on swimming. And like I said at the beginning of the programme, if you want to find John, he is on Instagram and he does some fantastic videos. Well worth watching. So look him up. Yeah, that's it for episode 29. The big 3-0 coming up next. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I've enjoyed doing it. Thank you for your support as always. If you want to drop us a line, you can get in touch through Age Group Multisport Podcast at gmail.com or on Instagram at amp_1967. You can DM us, follow us, that would be nice. Facebook, we're on AmpGB. You can go on our website and listen to all the podcasts on Age Group Multisport podcast.buzzsprout.com. We're also on YouTube at AmpGB. You can find us on Twitter at Age Group Multisport Podcast. And leave us a review. You can rate us and subscribe to the channels. And that would be really helpful. And that will allow other people like-minded to connect and find us and listen. So thanks once again, and just remember, stay safe, keep training, and love the process.